south of us around Pierce County, Thurston County, even out east into the foothills, so it's absolutely a warm to hot day. I'm KIRO 7 pinpoint meteorologist Nick Allard.
And right now, lots of sunshine, 82 degrees now in downtown Seattle. I'm Ursula Royteen.
Listen on your smart speakers, Amazon, Google Home, and Apple HomePod. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM. News and talk, powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Big Lead is brought to you by 3010 Weight Loss for Life.
The Dori Monson Show on KIRO Radio. This is The Big Lead.
Coming to you from Car Subaru Studio. Welcome to the big show. Glad you can be with us on this really pleasant summer afternoon. We got a busy show today. We were kind of rocked yesterday here in the building as one of the legends of Bonneville, Seattle, announced that he is transitioning away from a day-to-day talk show, and we will talk with him. I'm going to leave it suspenseful and not say who it is in case people haven't heard.
Everyone's going to be worried.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is very good and very good person. And we are going to talk to that person coming up at 12:30 this afternoon. And then also Chris Sullivan's going to join us with the implementation of the tolling in the new downtown Seattle tunnel. Cars, maybe as many as 40,000 a day, are going to have to be on surface streets. And you know how gridlocked downtown Seattle already is. And the grid is going to get luckier when this happens. And just the attitude of our politicians, the pure, raw contempt that they have for poor people and working class people, it's absolutely disgusting. So we'll talk about that as we cruise through the afternoon together. But with that as mere prelude, it is time to get into the big lead.
The Big Lead. Top story.
You know, I love a good media feud.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Because as you know, I've been in the midst of one or two in my lifetime.
You have.
So especially if I'm not in the middle of the feud, then it's all the better. Then I'm even more fascinated by it. So do you hear what's happening with our friend Brandy Cruz over at Q13?
Yes.
So Brandy, she has a new show. She came on our show last week and promoted it. And it's a Sunday morning news show called The Divide, and she's trying to bring people together on, contentious, controversial issues, which is a noble goal.
Absolutely.
I don't know how realistic it is in these times, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to do stuff like that. So, and plus, she's a very dear friend who really got started on this show, and so
Just
Yes.
a little more feedback. I mean, she is really continues to be a rising star, and I just want to pat myself on the back. I actually found Brandy.
Yeah.
And she worked here first, yeah.
I know you did. Plucked her out of the cornfields of Nebraska.
Yeah, but she's a dynamite reporter, an excellent journalist.
I said, she and I worked on a story together. I'd gotten a tip about Burger King restaurants. It's a really bizarre, obscure tip. But they are supposed to cook their hamburgers in a certain way. And if they did not follow this protocol, then little flakes of metal from the rotating grill would fall on the patties, almost like you would season it with pepper and salt,
right.
But it was getting seasoned with little flakes of metal. And so a tipster told me about this. Brandy started requesting documents. It was one of her first major stories. And she, one evening, I was working late because it was a Seahawks preseason game day, and the Seahawks were on the road. So I was here in the building till 11 p.m., midnight. And I see Brandy. She's laying on the floor of the newsroom with a highlighted stack 2 inches thick of printouts, trying to figure out this Burger King story. And it ended up changing the way Burger King cooks hamburgers nationwide because it was so dangerous.
No, she does her homework. She works hard. She works tirelessly, and she takes journalism very seriously.
Yes. So, and she just remains a very good friend. So anyway, she started getting blasted on social media by a guy who teaches. And do you know this guy? Did you ever work with him when he was at Northwest Cable News? Wayne Lynch?
I do. And in fact, when he worked there, I will say that I always thought him to be a really good guy.
Okay.
And he'd worked there for many, many years, and worked for King 5 as well. So in that group.
Yeah.
In any case, yes.
Yeah, I figured you had because of when we were partnered with them. And I know that I've met him once or twice, and frankly, I don't remember what impression I took away from him. I don't, and I know this sounds weird. I don't remember if I liked him or didn't like him. I just don't recall either way. So I don't go in with any preconceived notions about this guy. So anyway, she did her show, and he didn't like some aspects of it, so he started flaming her on social media.
Technically, he had only heard the name of the show. That's what this started from. He hadn't watched anything. He didn't even watch her promotion of it.
He hadn't seen the show
No.
when he was... Okay, critiquing it. Okay. So he sent to her in an angry email, "You said it was a hard look at news. Yeah, so you interview an old buddy from KIRO Radio and CR, who for years has been a full-timer and contributor at your own station, Q13, a.k.a. Revolving Door. Then you show us behind the scenes at your own company. Wow. How about going to the Times or the TNT or KUOW, which he spelled K-O-U-W. How incestuous this was. This was a handout show. I'm sure you'll have excuses, but this content was not even close to a hard look. How about a true journalist, not a radio host at night when no one listens? Please. Weak. I don't like people who spell please. P-U-H-L-E-E-Z-E. So
yeah, that text was after he had watched so it started before he watched the little promo she did for the show.
Right.
And then he watched just a little bit of one show where Jason Rance was a guest, and that's where that stemmed from.
And the topic of the show was a bias against conservative media in the Seattle area. So he sends her this angry email, and then it just went on and on. He also on Twitter said to Brandy that he called her a rookie. He called her Miss Fragile. On Twitter, Brandy responded by calling Wayne Lynch for spending the better part of his Sunday incessantly attacking me via email, then calling me thin-skinned and fragile when I dare defend myself. And then she wrote, he also told her that she needs to smile more. And Brandy wrote back, and he wants me to smile more. This type of thinking needs to die. Young women, listen up. Stand up for yourself. Smile as much or as little as you damn well please. And remember, people who work this hard to drag you down are compensating for their own failures and shortcomings. And then she went even more in depth. And this is where I start to enjoy all this stuff. I like the little feuding stuff. It's fun. So then she goes on Twitter.
I don't, for the record.
Then she goes on Twitter again and wrote, "A former local news director has spent the better part of his Sunday incessantly attacking me, calling me thin-skinned and fragile, and now he teaches journalism? Let's hope he's more restrained with the young minds he helps to shape." And I guess this Wayne Lynch guy, he's a teacher at UW Tacoma. And then
He's a part-time lecturer.
He wrote to her again, "You are deservedly spam. You brought up the 60s to attack me. Sorry, Miss Fragile." And Brandy wrote back, "Hi, Wayne. The fact that you're working so hard to diminish and put down the accomplishments of a 30-year-old woman says a lot more about you than it does me." He writes back, Thanks for the veiled ageism reference. I will put my 50 years of news experience against yours anytime, rookie. So we asked Brandy to come on with us today, and she can't. She can make it. She couldn't join us. I sent an email last night to Wayne Lynch, and I said, I'd like to hear your side of the story. Mm-hmm. And he has not responded. But as I read this...
Well,
go ahead.
Because I've been following it on Twitter as well, and there were quite a few, maybe at least 4 or 5. And in fact, I tweeted something and I took it down because I had my own encounter with him.
You jumped in on this one?
Yes.
What was your encounter?
I had defended his former station and also ourselves, really, because he was criticizing the station for getting Murrow Awards. Now, we're very proud of our Murrow Awards. I'm the one who puts together our Murrow Award entries. Nice. And if you win, it is a deal. It is something special. Yeah. And so I defended it, and I ended up getting an email from him, and I considered him someone, like an acquaintance, but someone in good terms with me. Yeah. And I got an email that was with expletives telling me...
On the Brandy issue?
No.
My own issue.
My own issue.
Oh.
And then other people weighed in on Twitter saying, I've also been attacked by this person. I think he's a very unhappy person.
Well, and some other news people...
I'm so uncomfortable right now.
Why?
Even just with...
Well, it's
fantastic.
It's a strange situation because this man worked in media, knows a lot of journalists, and it seems to be like maybe that career... he did pretty well in that career for a while, but then that career went away, and now he has found it his outlet to just attack everybody still left in the business.
Yeah, so a bunch of people in media have jumped in. The news director at KXLY in Spokane earned his ire after posting a headshot on her personal LinkedIn profile. On her page, Wayne Lynch wrote, "No one cares what news directors look like." He suggested she not keep posting photos as it's awkward and unnecessary. When she asked him to stop insulting her via direct message, he got defensive and claimed it was constructive criticism before calling her a narcissist. Travis Mayfield, who's one of the morning hosts on Q13, he tweeted that Wayne Lynch went after me viciously and relentlessly once for doing a Seahawks dance on air. Basically, he said I was a sellout and a shill, and it negated my 20 years of experience, credibility, and journalism. He wouldn't stop. I finally had to block him. And on and on. Don Day at King 5 said you got a scathing diatribe from this guy. Just on and on it goes. So, reading all of his emails, lots of misspellings and punctuation errors, which, in some cases, is people who are under the influence of something when they're tweeting. I don't know if that's the case, but if you are a journalist and you are a professional writer and you send... I'm pretty maniacal. If I misspell something...
Or you're dealing with someone who is really struggling. I'm not trying to defend, but I'm just saying someone who is really spiraling. And for that's why I feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, well,
because there's clearly something else going on.
The reason that I thought that they might be drunk tweets, but when I send just my notes to you guys about stories I want to cover on the air every day, if I have the tiniest misspelling, and all it is an email between the three of us and Nicole Jennings, nobody else sees it, but I can't hit send unless I've corrected any punctuation. If I did the apostrophe before the S and it should have been after the S, I have to fix that. If you're a professional journalist, when you send out stuff that have those many grammatical and spelling errors, that often suggests to me that they might not have been in their right mind. But there are two bottom line issues. Then I'll move on because I know this is all real inside media stuff. But there is something really sad when you are getting older maybe you have not achieved everything that you had hoped and dreamed in the business. And, being news director at Northwest Cable News was, I don't know how big a deal that is. It strikes me as not the biggest deal in the
he
world.
had a long. No, I wouldn't even diminish that. He had a long career. He had a long, respectable career. I think it is an illustration of what happens when maybe you didn't want to. And I don't know if this is the case, but maybe you didn't want to leave when you were. When you had to leave.
Well, they pulled the plug.
Yeah, or
on
whatever.
all of I don't
and
know
there's
if
some
he was-
unresolved business, unresolved feelings. I think he has been passionate about the business, but I think this is beyond that.
Well,
and my heart breaks also to see, don't take down other people, but also what is happening.
And the final issue is he is teaching or a lecturer at UW Tacoma to aspiring journalists. And if you spend your spare time just flaming people who are succeeding wildly, and, in the case of Brandy, who, as I've said, I'm very fond of and is a very dear friend, I have little doubt that Brandy will be a network correspondent someday. When she was 23 years old, I told her, "You are the best reporter I've ever worked with." Mm-hmm. And I didn't qualify it with for your age or anything. Oh. At age 23, and I worked with great journalists at King 5 and my wife when she was at the Seattle Times.
And here at KIRO Radio.
Of course. That goes without saying. And she was simply the best journalist I've ever worked with.
And the reason she stood out in the journalism contest that I was judging was, she just had a maturity level that was, and just a keen intellect that was beyond anything I had seen.
Yeah. And the girls basketball story that she and I worked together on won us 2 national Murrow Awards, which is just the highest honor in the industry. And so when you see a washed up old news guy who's teaching journalism to kids at UW Tacoma, and he's deciding to go after some of the brightest, shining stars, and somebody, those kids should aspire to be as good as Brandy someday. And here he is tearing her down. I think UW Tacoma has to real seriously consider, is this really what you're all about? When you have somebody who tears down the best and brightest. I can't believe that's the value of UW Tacoma. So lots of interesting issues emerging from all of this. But we'll continue. And as I said, I personally sent Wayne Lynch an email last night to invite him to come on the show to give his perspective. That is an open invitation. And if we can talk with him, I absolutely will do that and share it with you. And that is your big lead for today.
The Big Lead on KIRO Radio.
We have so much to do on a very busy news day. Ursula's going to check the news. And then a Seattle broadcast legend here in our building announced yesterday that I'm going to use the they so I don't reveal gender. They are going to step down from the day-to-day talk show host duties. We will tell you who it is and talk with them next on the Dori Monson Show.